Warehouse. Present day. The gun was 6 inches from her face. Cold metal, unwavering aim, Silas Blackwood's finger on the trigger steady as stone. Brielle Ashford had 3 seconds to decide. His empire or the child's life. Power or blood, everything he'd built or everyone she loved. The warehouse air tasted like rust and desperation. Behind her, 4-year-old Ivy whimpered. Beyond that, her sister Celine struggled against rope. Deeper than all of it, Brielle felt the weight of every choice that had brought her to this moment. 3 seconds. 2. 1. But let me tell you how we got here. 72 hours earlier. The bills came in envelopes. White cream sometimes, that aggressive yellow that screamed overdue before you even opened them. Brielle collected them from the rusted mailbox of her Brooklyn walk-up like she was gathering stones for her own burial. Medical bills, hospital invoices, insurance denials typed in fonts that somehow made rejection look official and final. $47,000, $83,000, $126,000. The numbers climbed like a fever that wouldn't break. At the kitchen table under a light that flickered when trucks passed on the street below. Celine Ashford tried to smile. 18 years old with her sister's same dark blonde hair, same sharp cheekbones, same stubborn jawline. But where Brielle's eyes held the hardness of survival, Celine still carried something softer. Hope, maybe. They're just numbers, Celine said, pushing a stack of envelopes aside. Her fingertips were pale, almost translucent under the weak light. Blue veins mapped territories beneath skin that seemed thinner every week. We'll figure it out. Brielle didn't answer. The truth sat between them like a third person at the table, uninvited and impossible to ignore. Congenital heart defect, progressive, fatal without intervention. The words from Dr. Patterson's office still echoed in Brielle's skull, sharp-edged and merciless. Transplant within 60 days or start planning arrangements no 18-year-old should need. $200,000 for the surgery. Another $50,000 for recovery medications, the long road back to something resembling normal life. Brielle worked double shifts at the Sapphire Club, Manhattan's temple to old money and new excess. Minimum wage plus tips that depended entirely on how invisible she could make herself. She'd picked up a second job bussing tables at a diner in Queens. Slept 4 hours a night when she was lucky. In 6 months, she'd saved $8,000. The math was simple and devastating. I could sell the truck, Celine offered. The ancient Ford their foster father had left them more rust than metal. We need it for appointments. Then we'll take the bus. Celine, I'm serious, or I could defer enrollment, get a job. You're getting that nursing degree. Brielle's voice carried finality that had been settling into her bones since she was 15. And their last foster placement fell apart, since she'd become mother, father, sister, protector, all rolled into one exhausted 25-year-old body. You're going to become the nurse you want to be. You're going to help people. You're going to live. Celine's eyes went bright with tears she wouldn't let fall. Ashford's didn't cry. Not where anyone could see. Then how? I'll figure it out. The lie tasted like copper. I always do. That night, after Celine finally slept, Brielle sat on the fire escape and looked at the city lights bleeding into dark sky. Somewhere out there, people were spending on dinner what she made in a month. Somewhere out there, the world was full of miracles she couldn't afford. Somewhere out there, time was running out. 60 days, the countdown had already begun. Friday night, the Sapphire Club. The Sapphire sat on Fifth Avenue like a crown jewel, all marble and brass-tinted windows promising discretion, a doorman who could spot old money from 3 blocks away. Brielle pushed through the staff entrance at 6 p.m. sharp. The air inside smelled like leather-aged whiskey and the particular brand of arrogance that came from knowing you could buy anything, including people. You look exhausted, Declan O'Brien said from behind the bar, 40 years old with graying red hair and the kind of face that had seen too much and said too little. When's the last time you slept? Tuesday, I think. It's Friday. Then Tuesday. Brielle tied her apron. I'm fine. Declan poured her coffee without asking, strong enough to strip paint. Sterling's group just arrived. Brielle's stomach clenched. Sterling Hartley. 32 real estate developer, the kind of handsome that knew its own value. He came in every Friday with Marcus Trent and Joel Davidson, investment bankers who treated servers like furniture. 3 months of escalating behavior. Started with demanding service, evolved into inappropriate comments, recently crossed into territory that made her skin crawl. Last week, Sterling had accidentally brushed against her 3 times. Pressed his hand over hers when she set down his plate. Smiled like it was a game and she was losing. I can handle it, Brielle said. That's not what I asked. I need the tips. Celine's medication. She stopped. Declan knew. Everyone knew. The struggling server with the dying sister. At 9:47 p.m., the first shot rang out. Brielle was clearing table 7 when the entrance exploded inward. 3 men, guns drawn, ski masks. Everybody down! The room erupted. Screams, breaking glass. Brielle dropped flat arms over her head, but her eyes tracked movement, saw the gunmen bypass the main floor, saw them move with purpose toward the private dining room. Nathaniel Blackwood, one shouted. We know you're here. Come out or we start shooting customers. The private dining room door opened. He walked out like he was strolling into a board meeting. Tall 6'2" in a charcoal suit that probably cost more than Brielle's yearly salary. Dark hair silvering at the temples. 40 years old with a face carved from marble, sharp jaw, dark eyes that missed nothing. Completely calm despite 3 guns pointed at his chest. Gentlemen, he said, this is unnecessary. Your business partners disagree. The lead gunman's finger moved toward the trigger. They send their regards. Everything happened between heartbeats. The gunman fired. Nathaniel moved fast, but not fast enough. The bullet caught him high on the left side, spun him backward. He hit the wall hard, slid down, leaving a red smear. The gunman advanced, and Brielle didn't think. She grabbed a bottle from the nearest table, heavy crystal, and launched herself at the nearest gunman. The bottle connected with his temple. He went down hard. The second gunman turned. Brielle was already moving, grabbing the fallen man's weapon. She didn't fire. Couldn't. But the gunman didn't know that. He hesitated. 1 second. 2. Declan came up from behind the bar with a Louisville slugger, connected with the second gunman's knees. The man crumpled. The third gunman ran, burst back through the entrance. Silence fell like a guillotine blade. Brielle dropped the gun like it had burned her. Turned toward where Nathaniel sat against the wall, hand pressed to his shoulder, blood seeping between fingers. You're bleeding. Astute. Humor in his voice despite the bullet wound. Brielle crossed to him, pulled off her server's vest, pressed it against the wound, felt warm blood soak through. Put pressure here, don't move. You just assaulted an armed man with a bourbon bottle. His eyes studied her face. Who are you? Brielle Ashford, 30-year bourbon. Sterling's tab can cover it. His smile was real if pained. Expensive weapon. The ambulance arrived. Paramedics swarmed. Nathaniel's people materialized, men in dark suits who looked at Brielle like she was a problem that needed classifying. Police arrived. Took statements. Brielle gave hers in 3 sentences. I saw guns. I saw someone getting shot. I reacted. The detective looked at her like she was either incredibly brave or incredibly stupid. You could have been killed. So could everyone else. But you moved anyway. Someone had to. By midnight, the Sapphire was empty. Brielle caught the last train to Brooklyn with blood still under her fingernails and adrenaline singing through her veins. 59 days left. The knock came at 2 p.m. the next day. 2 men in expensive suits stood in her hallway looking out of place among peeling paint and flickering lights. Brielle Ashford, the taller one, spoke with professional courtesy. Mr. Blackwood would like to speak with you. I already gave my statement. This isn't about the police. He showed her a phone. Text find her. Bring her. Politely. I'm not going anywhere until you tell me what this is about. Mr. Blackwood wishes to thank you personally for saving his life. He can send a card. Ms. Ashford. The man's voice softened. 10 minutes of your time. You'll be compensated. I don't want money. Then what do you want? The question hit like a physical thing. What did she want? She wanted Celine healthy. Wanted medical bills that didn't make her nauseous. Wanted one night of sleep where she didn't dream about countdown timers. She wanted miracles she couldn't afford. 10 minutes, she said. The penthouse occupied the entire top floor, floor-to-ceiling windows showing Manhattan spread out like a kingdom below. Nathaniel stood by those windows, left arm in a sling, pale but upright. Same dark eyes tracking her movement. Ms. Ashford, thank you for coming. Your people were very persuasive. A smile ghosted across his face. Can I offer you something? Information. Why am I here? Direct. I appreciate that. He sat carefully. You saved my life last night. That's not something I take lightly. I did what anyone should have done. But they didn't. 60 people in that room. You were the only one who moved. Why? Brielle thought about lying, but something in his gaze demanded honesty. I've spent my whole life watching people who could help choose not to. Last night I decided not to be one of them. Silence. He absorbed this, nodded slowly. I want to pay you. I don't need your money. Everyone needs money, Ms. Ashford. Name a figure. So you can feel like you've paid off a debt. Brielle stood. I didn't help you for a reward. We're done here. She made it 3 steps. I know about your sister. Brielle froze. Celine Ashford, 18 years old, congenital heart defect, needs transplant surgery within 60 days. His voice was gentle but relentless. You're working 2 jobs, have $8,000 saved against $200,000 surgery cost. The math doesn't work. She's going to die and you're going to watch it happen because pride won't let you accept help. Brielle turned slowly. You investigated me. I investigate everyone who enters my life. It's how I stay alive. He moved closer. You risked your life for mine, asked for nothing. That's rare. Rare enough that I want to offer you something genuinely valuable. I told you, not money, a job. He paused. I have a daughter, Ivy, 4 years old. 2 years ago, my wife died of cancer. Ivy watched her mother fade for 6 months. She hasn't spoken a word since the funeral. Something in his voice cracked, just a hairline fracture, but enough for Brielle to see the wound beneath. I've hired 12 nannies. Ivy fires them all within a week, won't eat, won't sleep, just sits in her room and draws pictures of her mother. He met Brielle's eyes. I need someone who understands loss, someone brave enough to move when everyone else freezes. You need a miracle worker. I need you. I'm not qualified. You're qualified in the only way that matters. You know what it means to protect someone you love against impossible odds. The words landed like physical blows, because he was right. 1 month trial, Nathaniel said. $250,000 signing bonus paid immediately. If Ivy doesn't respond to you, you keep the money and walk away. If she does, we negotiate long-term. Brielle's mind spun. $250,000. Celine's surgery plus recovery plus debt paid, security, time. Why so much? Because valuable is always worth paying for. His expression softened. And because you saved my life, let me save your sister's. The math was simple this time, devastating in a different way. Accept and save Celine. Refuse and watch her sister die. I need time to think about it, Brielle said. Take the night. But your sister doesn't have much time. The breaking point. Brielle didn't take the deal, not right away. She went home. Looked at Celine sketching at their kitchen table, medical textbooks spread around her. Watched the slight tremor in her sister's hands. That night she lay awake, calculating. By morning she still hadn't decided, so she went back to the Sapphire for her Friday shift. Sterling Hartley was already drunk when she arrived at 7 p.m. Sterling and his friends had clearly started celebrating early. Empty glasses littered the table. Sterling's tie was loosened, face flushed. There she is, Sterling announced. Manhattan's hero waitress, tell me, did you get a medal for tackling that gunman? His friends laughed. Table 11 glanced over. Table 9 pretended not to hear. Good evening, gentlemen. Can I start you with, we're celebrating? Sterling cut her off. Close the Riverside development today, $100 million deal. Means I bought 5 city blocks. Means 200 families get evicted so I can build luxury condos. He leaned back. Means I'm having a very good day and you're going to make it better. Something cold slithered down Brielle's spine. What can I get you? Bourbon, the 50-year, and bring it properly this time, on your knees. The words hit like a slap. Table 11 went silent. Brielle kept her voice level. I'll bring your bourbon right away, sir. I said on your knees. Sterling's voice rose, performed for an audience. You people don't listen. Maybe you need to learn your place. Sterling, maybe. Marcus started. Shut up. Sterling stood swaying, moved toward Brielle with unstoppable momentum. I spend thousands here every month. I think I deserve proper service. Brielle stepped back. I'm going to get the manager. You're going to kneel. His hand shot out, grabbed her elbow, hard enough to hurt. Right here, right now. Declan moved from behind the bar, stopped when Vivian Sterling appeared from her office, one sharp look freezing him in place. Table 11 looked away. Table 9 studied their plates. 60 witnesses chose silence. Let go of me, Brielle said quietly. Make me. Sterling's breath stank of bourbon. Or better yet, just kneel. His friends stood, Marcus on one side, Joel on the other. Brielle tried to pull away. Sterling's grip tightened, and then his foot hooked behind her knee and shoved. She went down hard. Knees hit marble. The tray flew from her hands. Crystal exploded. Glass shattered. Whiskey spread across dark marble like amber blood. The sound echoed through the sapphire like thunder in a cathedral. Brielle's knees landed in wreckage. Sharp edges bit through her stockings, through skin found bone. Pain bloomed bright. Blood welled up, mixing with spilled bourbon, creating patterns that reflected overhead lights. Sterling laughed, high and delighted. Look at that! She's finally on her knees where she belongs. Marcus pulled out his phone, started recording. Joel kicked another piece of glass toward Brielle's hands. Clean it up properly this time. The room had gone absolutely silent. Not even ambient music played. The sapphire held its breath. Brielle pressed her palms to the floor, felt whiskey soaking her uniform, felt glass cutting deeper, felt tears burning behind her eyes that she absolutely would not let fall. Don't cry, don't give them that satisfaction. Her hands found a large shard. She lifted it carefully, blood running down her wrist, set it aside, reached for another. That's it, Sterling said, voice loud. Maybe hospitality is your calling after all. 60 witnesses. 60 people who saw and chose nothing. That's when the door opened. The storm. The temperature dropped. The air grew heavy, thick, charged. The ambient jazz cut off mid-note. Conversations didn't taper off. They died. Glasses stopped moving. Forks froze. Even breathing seemed to pause. The entrance door had opened. Nathaniel Blackwood stepped inside. He moved with the kind of calm that made your stomach drop. Dark coat hanging open over a pressed white shirt. Left arm still in a sling. Hands relaxed at his sides. Face absolutely neutral. But his eyes swept the room like searchlights, cataloging everything. Every frozen patron. Every guilty witness, every detail. Then they found Brielle, kneeling on broken glass, blood spreading. Tears she was fighting, making her eyes bright and terrible, hands trembling as they picked up shards. Something moved across Nathaniel's expression. Not rage, rage was too hot, this was colder. The precise calculation of consequence. Sterling and his friends were still laughing, oblivious, too drunk to notice the room's transformation. Nathaniel crossed the space in measured strides, silent on polished floor, 20 feet, 15, 10. He stopped 5 feet behind Sterling's group, close enough to hear their laughter, close enough to see exactly how they'd positioned themselves around Brielle. Declan saw him first, the bartender's face drained of color. Then Vivian spotted Nathaniel, She stumbled backward, one hand flying to her chest. Recognition spread through the sapphire like electricity through water. But Sterling kept laughing, kept recording. Nathaniel waited, patient, letting every witness see what came next. Then he spoke. 2 words, quiet enough that only the men immediately around him could hear. "Step away!" Sterling turned. The laughter died in his throat. Recognition hit him in stages, the face, then the name, then the full weight of what that name meant. His phone slipped in suddenly sweaty hands. Marcus and Joel had already started backing up. "Mr. Blackwood," Sterling stammered. We were just step away." Each word precisely articulated. Sterling moved, stumbled backward so fast he nearly tripped. Nathaniel didn't watch them go. His focus had shifted to Brielle. He moved toward her slowly, knelt beside her with impossible grace. "You're hurt." Not a question, a statement of fact that someone would answer for. Brielle looked up at him, tears finally breaking free. "I'm fine. You're bleeding on my floor. That's the opposite of fine." He turned toward the bar without raising his voice. "First aid kit, now!" Declan moved faster than Brielle had ever seen. Brought it to Nathaniel personally, hands shaking. "Thank you." He opened the kit with practiced efficiency. "This will sting." It did, but Brielle bit her lip and stayed quiet. Nathaniel worked methodically, removing glass from her knees piece by piece. Each shard carefully extracted, examined, set aside. Blood cleaned with gentle pressure, wounds checked. His touch was impossibly tender. These hands that had built an empire now treating her injuries with care you'd give something precious. Around them the sapphire remained frozen. 60 witnesses watching this impossible scene. "Why are you here?" Brielle asked quietly. "I own this establishment. I came to check on operations." "That's not why." Now he met her eyes. "No, it's not." "Then why?" "Because 2 days ago you saved my life and asked for nothing. Today you came back to work for people who don't deserve your service." He applied antibiotic ointment. "I wanted to make you an offer in person. Then I walked in and saw this." He finished wrapping her knees, stood slowly, offered his hand. Brielle took it. Let him steady her. Only then did Nathaniel turn to face the room. "Sterling Hartley, Marcus Trent, Joel Davidson. You're no longer welcome at the Sapphire, not tonight, not ever." Sterling's face flushed. "You can't." Nathaniel pulled out his phone, made a call. "Elena, I need 3 names circulated. Sterling Hartley, Marcus Trent, Joel Davidson. They're banned from every establishment where I have influence. Expanded list, permanent until I say otherwise." Second call. "Richard, that Riverside development Sterling Hartley closed today. Review the environmental impact statements carefully. I suspect you'll find irregularities." Third call. "Judge Hartwell, I'm calling in that favor. Sterling Hartley has 3 building code violations from 2019 that were dismissed. I need them reopened by Monday." He pocketed his phone, looked at Sterling with attention you'd give insects before stepping on them. "You humiliated someone under my protection in my establishment, in front of witnesses who will remember this moment." He stepped closer. Sterling pressed back. "By tomorrow, your real estate deals will unravel. Your permits will face review. Your bank will call in loans. You'll discover what happens when you forget that some people are protected absolutely." Nathaniel turned to Vivian. "These 3 men are never to be served here again. Anyone who violates that ban answers to me personally." Vivian nodded so hard her glasses slipped. "Yes, sir." He looked at Brielle. "Can you walk?" "Yes." "Then we're leaving." He shrugged out of his coat and draped it over her shoulders. It swallowed her smaller frame, but it was warm and smelled like cedar and safety. Sterling found his voice. "You're overreacting. It was just—" Nathaniel turned. One look. Sterling's words died. "Leave, while you still can." They ran. Sterling hit the doorframe. Marcus forgot his jacket. Joel looked back once, caught Nathaniel's eyes still tracking him, and moved faster. Nathaniel looked at the 60 witnesses. If anyone asks what happened here tonight, tell them the truth. Sometimes consequences walk quietly. They don't announce themselves, they just arrive. Then he guided Brielle toward the exit, his hand steady at her back. Vivian found her voice. Brielle, you still have tables. Nathaniel stopped, turned slowly. Ms. Ashford no longer works here, effective immediately, with full pay for tonight and compensation for 3 months of hostile work environment. Write the check now. Vivian scrambled into her office, emerged with a check her hands shook writing. Nathaniel took it, handed it to Brielle without looking at the number. Your final compensation. They walked out together. Behind them, 60 witnesses would remember this night forever. The fire, Brielle insisted on going home. Nathaniel's driver, Thomas, a mountain of a man, brought the car around. But Brielle gave him her Brooklyn address. I need to check on my sister. At midnight. She worries when I'm late. Something in Nathaniel's expression softened. Then we check on your sister. The drive took 30 minutes. Nathaniel said nothing, just sat beside her while Brielle watched city lights blur past, his coat still around her shoulders, her knees still throbbing. Why did you do it? She asked. Which part? All of it. You barely know me. Nathaniel looked at her then, really looked. 2 nights ago you risked your life for mine without hesitation. Tonight you came back to work for people who treat you like you're disposable. He paused. You're not disposable, Brielle Ashford, and I protect what's valuable. I'm not yours to protect. Not yet. The car pulled up to her building. Brielle saw it immediately. The crowd, the fire trucks, the smoke. Her heart stopped. Celine. She was out of the car before it fully stopped, running despite her injured knees, pain shooting up her legs, but she didn't care because Celine was in there. A firefighter caught her. Miss, you can't. My sister, 4th floor, apartment 4B. Building's evacuated. Everyone's out. Brielle scanned the crowd, found Celine sitting on the curb, wrapped in a borrowed jacket, face streaked with soot, coughing, but alive. She crashed into her sister, held her, felt Celine's heart beating fast and terrified but beating. I'm okay, Celine managed between coughs. Neighbor woke me up. Fire started on 3rd floor. Started how? Fire marshal's investigating. But Bree, Mrs. Thompson from 3A, said she saw men leaving right before the alarm went off. Men who didn't live here. Ice slithered down Brielle's spine. Nathaniel appeared beside them. Sterling. Brielle nodded. He crouched to Celine's level. I'm Nathaniel Blackwood. Your sister saved my life recently. Celine's eyes widened. The shooting. And tonight she was targeted by men with connections. His voice was gentle but firm. This building isn't safe anymore. We can't just leave, Brielle protested. This is our home. This is a crime scene that almost killed your sister. Nathaniel stood. You have 2 options. Find a hotel you can't afford while men who want to hurt you search for your new location. Or accept my protection. I don't need the Brielle. Celine grabbed her hand. I'm scared. 3 words, simple, devastating. The math was different now, not pride versus survival, family versus everything else. One condition, Brielle said. Celine comes too, and her surgery gets scheduled immediately. Done. I'll have my medical team contact her doctors first thing tomorrow. How much? Nothing. Consider it hazard pay for putting you in danger. He pulled out his phone, made a call. I need a penthouse prepared for 3, guest suite for the younger Ms. Ashford, medical equipment by morning. He turned back. You'll stay with me until this is resolved, both of you, under my protection. And after we revisit my original offer, 1-month trial caring for Ivy, $250,000 signing bonus with 1 modification. What modification? You're under my protection now. His eyes held hers. Absolute. That means you're mine to protect, understood? Brielle wanted to argue, but Celine was trembling. Their home was burning, and somewhere in the night Sterling had learned that humiliating Brielle came with consequences. Understood, she said quietly. Nathaniel nodded once. Then let's go home. Home. The word settled over Brielle like his coat had. Warm, foreign, terrifying in its promise. Nathaniel Blackwood's penthouse was a fortress disguised as a home. 32nd floor, floor-to-ceiling windows, security so subtle Brielle almost missed it, cameras hidden in artwork, bulletproof glass locks requiring biometric scans. Thomas carried their salvaged belongings. Celine's medical records, Brielle's CPR certification, a photograph of two sisters smiling. Everything else had burned. "Guest suite is down the hall," Nathaniel said. "Private bathroom balcony. Celine, I've arranged for a cardiac specialist tomorrow morning. Dr. Rachel Bennett, best transplant surgeon in the state. 9 a.m. A sound from deeper in the penthouse. Small footsteps. Then silence. Nathaniel's entire demeanor shifted, softened. "That's Ivy. She doesn't sleep well." He looked at Brielle. "Would you like to meet her now or wait?" "Now, if she's awake anyway." They found Ivy in a bedroom painted soft lavender. A small girl sat on the floor surrounded by drawings, dozens of them. All the same subject. A woman with long dark hair, smiling, always smiling. Ivy looked up when they entered. 4 years old, with her father's dark eyes and hair that curled at the ends. Thin for her age. Pale. She wore pajamas covered in stars and held a purple crayon. When she saw Nathaniel, something flickered in her expression. When she saw Brielle and Celine, she went completely still. "Ivy, sweetheart," Nathaniel said gently. "These are our guests, Brielle and her sister Celine. They're going to stay with us." Ivy said nothing, just stared. Brielle knelt slowly, mindful of her bandaged knees. Got down to Ivy's level. Didn't reach out. Didn't crowd her space. "Hi, Ivy. I like your drawings. Is that your mom?" The girl's grip on the crayon tightened. "My mom died too," Brielle said quietly. "I was 7. Car accident. I used to draw her all the time. Drew her so many times I was afraid I'd forget what she really looked like." She picked up one of the drawings. "But you won't forget. The people we love, they stay right here." She touched her chest. "Even when they're gone." Ivy's eyes filled with tears she didn't let fall. Celine sat down too. "I draw when I'm scared. Makes me feel like I have control." She pulled out her phone, showed Ivy her medical sketches. "See hearts and lungs, all the things inside us that keep us alive." For the first time, Ivy moved, leaned forward slightly to see the screen. "Do you want to see a real heart? I mean a drawing of one?" The smallest nod. Celine opened her notebook, showed Ivy intricate drawings of cardiac chambers and valves. "This is what keeps us going. Pretty amazing, right?" Ivy touched the drawing, gentle, reverent. Nathaniel watched from the doorway, relief in his expression, or hope, or the terrible fear of hoping too much. "I have to draw this for my exam," Celine said, "but I keep messing up this part. Think you could help me?" Ivy looked at her father, back to Celine. Then she picked up a pencil. It wasn't speaking, but it was something. It was a start. 7 days. Day 1, Ivy watched Brielle from doorways, followed her room to room but kept 10 feet of distance, didn't speak, barely ate. Day 2, Ivy sat at the same table during breakfast, still silent but present. Day 3, she brought Brielle a drawing, not of her mother, of Brielle, tall and strong with yellow hair and blue eyes, smiling. Day 4, she let Brielle help with her bath. Didn't fight, just accepted help with wary gratitude. Day 5, she ate 4 bites of dinner for Brielle. When Brielle praised her, something almost like a smile crossed her small face. Day 6, she held Brielle's hand during a thunderstorm, tiny fingers gripping tight, seeking safety. Day 7, Dr. Bennett came to evaluate Celine. Brielle waited in the hallway while the cardiac specialist ran tests, listened to Celine's heart through equipment that cost more than their burned apartment, made notes in medical shorthand. Ivy appeared beside Brielle, slipped her small hand into Brielle's larger one, didn't speak, just stood there offering comfort. When Dr. Bennett emerged, her face was professionally neutral. "Surgery can be scheduled within 2 weeks. I've already contacted UNOS about donor matching. Ms. Ashford's condition is serious but stable. With proper care and the transplant, her prognosis is excellent." 2 weeks, not 60 days. 2 weeks to a miracle. Brielle felt tears threatening, blinked them back, but Ivy tugged her hand, looked up with those dark eyes, and Brielle realized she wasn't a stranger anymore. "Thank you," Brielle managed. After the doctor left, Celine emerged, pale but trying to smile. 2 weeks, Brie. 2 weeks and I get to live." They held each other. Ivy wedged herself between them, small body fitting perfectly where their arms met. A family, temporary maybe, broken maybe, but whole. Nathaniel watched from his office doorway, his expression soft in a way Brielle had never seen. Their eyes met across the space. Something passed between them, unspoken, undeniable, dangerous. Growing closer. The days took on a rhythm. Mornings Brielle would wake to find Ivy already awake, sitting outside her bedroom door. They'd have breakfast together while Nathaniel handled business calls and Celine slept late, recovering her strength. Ivy still didn't speak, but she communicated. A tug on Brielle's sleeve meant, "Come see." Holding up a drawing meant, "Do you like this?" Settling against Brielle's side meant, "I feel safe." Afternoons, Nathaniel would emerge from his office. He'd watch Brielle and Ivy together, playing with dolls, reading books, drawing endless pictures. Sometimes his expression was soft, sometimes guarded, always intense. "You're good with her," he said one afternoon. They were in the kitchen. Ivy was napping. Celine was at a pre-op appointment. "She's easy to be good with." Brielle poured coffee. "She just needs someone who doesn't expect her to be okay." The other nannies expected her to get over it, move on. They treated her grief like a problem to be solved. Grief isn't a problem. It's love that has nowhere to go. Brielle handed him a mug. "You don't solve it, you just make space for it." Nathaniel studied her face. "Where did you learn that?" "Foster homes. You learn early that loss is permanent. The people who help aren't the ones who try to fix it. They're the ones who sit with you in it." "Is that what you're doing, sitting with her in it?" "I'm sitting beside her. There's a difference." Something flickered in his eyes. "What about sitting beside me?" The question hung in the air, loaded, dangerous. "Nathaniel, I know. Employer, employee, professional boundaries." He set down his mug. "But Brielle, you're not just an employee anymore. You're—" Ivy's cry cut through from her bedroom. Nightmare. They both moved, but Brielle got there first. Ivy was tangled in sheets, whimpering. Brielle gathered her up. "Shh, sweetheart. You're safe." Nathaniel appeared in the doorway, watching. Ivy's breathing slowed. She burrowed into Brielle's shoulder, and then so quietly Brielle almost missed it. "Stay, one word," the first word she'd spoken in 18 months. Brielle's eyes filled with tears. "I'm staying. I promise." Ivy's small hand fisted in Brielle's shirt. "Promise. I promise." Nathaniel's face raw with emotion so intense it hurt to witness. Later, after Ivy slept, he found Brielle on the balcony. "She spoke," he said, voice rough. "She did. Because of you. Because she's ready." "No." He moved closer. "Because you made her feel safe enough to try." His hand found her face, warm, gentle. "You're saving her, Brielle, the way you saved me." "I'm not trying to save anyone. I'm just being you, I know." His thumb brushed her cheek, and somehow that's everything. Brielle should pull away, should remember this was temporary. But Ivy had called her mommy in her sleep last night, and Nathaniel was looking at her like she'd hung the moon. "This is complicated," she whispered. "I know. I'm still leaving after the month." "Are you?" "I have to. Celine will be healthy, the surgery will work, and then what?" His eyes held hers. "You go back to nothing, pretend the last 2 weeks didn't happen." "I don't know." "Then stay, figure it out from here, with us." He stepped back, left her on the balcony with impossible choices multiplying by the day. Night 10. Brielle woke to screaming, not loud, the sound of a child trapped in a nightmare. She was moving before conscious thought. Down the hall into Ivy's room to the small bed where the girl thrashed against tangled sheets. "Ivy, sweetheart, wake up! You're safe!" Ivy's eyes opened, wild, terrified. "Mommy!" she sobbed. "Mommy, don't leave! Please don't leave!" "I'm here," Brielle said without thinking. "I'm right here." She gathered Ivy into her arms, held her while the child cried, let her own tears fall into Ivy's dark curls. "Mommy, Elena," Ivy whimpered, still half asleep. "Don't go! I'm here," Brielle whispered. "I'm not going anywhere." Ivy's breathing slowed. Her fingers stayed fisted in Brielle's shirt, holding on. Brielle looked up. Nathaniel stood in the doorway, barefoot, sweatpants and t-shirt, hair messed from sleep, face raw with emotion. "She called you Mommy," he said, voice breaking. She was dreaming. She meant, I know who she meant. He moved into the room, sat on the edge of Ivy's bed. "Elena died 18 months ago. Ivy watched her fade for 6 months before that. She stopped talking the day we buried her. Hasn't called anyone Mommy since. Nathaniel, until now." His eyes met Brielle's. "Until you." The air between them felt charged, like the moment before lightning strikes. "She's grieving," Brielle said. "She needs her mother. I'm just here." "You're not just anything." Nathaniel reached out slowly, brushed a strand of hair from Brielle's face. "You're saving her, the way you saved me. I'm not trying to replace. I know that's why it's working." His hand lingered, warm against her cheek. "You're not trying to be her mother, you're just being you. And somehow that's exactly what she needs." Brielle should pull away, should remember this was temporary. But Ivy was sleeping peacefully for the first time in 10 days. And Nathaniel was looking at her like she belonged. "I should go," she whispered. "Let her sleep. Stay, please. She sleeps better when you're near." So Brielle stayed, sat on Ivy's bed with the child curled in her lap, Nathaniel beside her close enough that their shoulders touched. They didn't speak, just sat there in the quiet dark while Ivy slept and Manhattan glittered outside and something fundamental shifted between them. When Brielle finally returned to her room 2 hours later, she couldn't sleep. Because Ivy had called her Mommy, and Nathaniel had looked at her like she mattered. And for the first time in her life, Brielle Ashford felt like she might belong somewhere. It terrified her. The fall day 12 started wrong. Brielle woke to find Ivy's room empty. She found Nathaniel in the hallway. His face was stone. "What happened?" "Ivy fell down the stairs. Margot says you pushed her." The words hit like physical blows. "What? No." "I've been asleep. She has bruises on her arms. She's crying. And Margot Thorne, the nanny who's been helping, says she saw you at the top of the stairs right before Ivy fell." Brielle's blood went cold. "Nathaniel, I didn't touch her. I would never." "Then why is my daughter terrified? Let me see her." "No." The word was absolute. "Not until we figure out what happened." "After everything," Brielle's voice cracked. "After I saved your life, after these 12 days, you don't believe me." Something flickered in his expression. Doubt. Fear. "I have to protect my daughter. I'm not the threat." "Then who is?" His voice rose. "Margot's worked in childcare for 15 years. She has no reason to lie. And I have every reason to hurt a child I've been caring for." Brielle fought to keep her voice steady. "Think Nathaniel. Who benefits if I'm gone?" But he wasn't listening. His phone rang. His face went darker. "Police are on their way. Margot filed a report." He looked at Brielle like he didn't know her. "I'm sorry, but I can't risk believing me. I understand." Brielle's voice was ice. "Call your police, but when you figure out the truth and you will, don't expect me to be here." The police arrived 20 minutes later. Concrete and truth. The holding cell smelled like despair and industrial cleaner. Brielle sat on a metal bench in the clothes she'd slept in, knees throbbing where old wounds had reopened. Around her, 3 other women occupied the space with weary patience. Child endangerment, assault of a minor, serious enough that bail hadn't been set. Security footage was corrupted, her public defender said. 40 years old, tired eyes. "It's your word against the nannies." "I didn't do it. Complicated doesn't play well in court." He left. One of her cellmates spoke. First time? That obvious. You're not crying. She studied Brielle. What did they get you for? Something I didn't do. Yeah, everybody says that. In my case, it's true. The woman laughed. Honey, truth doesn't matter in here, only what they can prove. That night, Celine came to visit. Plexiglass between them. Phones that crackled. I'm getting you out, Celine said. I called legal aid. Celine, no. The surgery is in 5 days. You focus on that. You're in jail because of me. I'm in jail because someone lied. Brielle pressed her hand against the glass. And I'm going to prove it. But I need you healthy. Promise me. Promise you'll focus on getting better. Celine's eyes filled with tears. They're saying you hurt a little girl. I didn't. I know. After Celine left, Brielle lay on her metal bunk and stared at the ceiling, counted cracks in concrete. Then the guard came. Not the regular guard, a new one, bigger. Eyes that said he'd been paid for something specific. Ashford, someone wants a word. Who? Does it matter? He unlocked the cell. Move. She moved. Through hallways that grew quieter, away from the main holding area. The guard shoved her into an empty room, and Brielle realized this wasn't about questioning. This was about silence. The guard advanced. Brielle backed up. Her mind raced. Nathaniel had taught her self-defense, basic moves, pressure points. The guard grabbed her arm. Brielle twisted, used his momentum, swept his legs. He went down hard, surprised. She ran, down the corridor, guards shouting behind her. This was insane, but staying meant she burst into the main holding area. Her cellmate saw her face and made a split-second decision. This way! The woman led her through a maintenance corridor. Guard change in 2 minutes, door at the end. You got 90 seconds. Why are you helping me? Because I got a daughter your age. She pressed keys into Brielle's hand. Took these off that guard last week. Brielle ran. The door opened onto a loading dock. Night air hit her face, freedom 60 feet away. Behind her, alarms started screaming. Discovery. Brielle made it 3 blocks before reality hit. She was an escaped prisoner with no money, no phone, no place to go. Every cop in the city would be looking for her. But she wasn't running away, she was running toward proof, toward Margot Thorne. The nanny lived in Brooklyn, Park Slope. Brielle knew because she'd overheard Nathaniel giving the address. Brielle moved through shadows, avoided main streets, made it to Park Slope by midnight. The brownstone's lights were off. Brielle picked the lock and slipped inside. She had maybe an hour before police expanded their search. Margot's apartment was immaculate, too immaculate. Brielle searched methodically. Desk drawers, filing cabinets, then she found it. A burner phone, hidden in a tampon box, messages loaded. Brielle's hands shook as she read, Silas, is it done, Margot? The girl fell, made it look like Ashford pushed her. Silas, good. Police, Margot, filed the report. Silas, perfect. Phase 2 when she's in jail. Phase 2, the corrupt guard. Brielle kept scrolling. Found more messages, months of them. Margot reporting on Nathaniel, on Ivy, and payments. $50,000 transferred 2 weeks ago. Silas Blackwood, Nathaniel's right-hand man. Brielle photographed everything. Then she heard it. Keys in the lock. Margot coming home. Brielle moved. Out the window onto the fire escape. Down 3 floors, dropped the last 8 feet, ran. She had proof. Now she needed to get it to Nathaniel. Meanwhile, the penthouse. Nathaniel sat in Ivy's room watching his daughter sleep. She'd cried for 2 hours after Brielle was arrested, screamed, Brielle didn't, until her voice gave out. His phone buzzed, his head of security. Sir, we recovered the security footage from backup cloud. The video loaded, showed the hallway, the stairs, showed Margot carrying Ivy down the stairs, showed her deliberately dropping the girl. Ivy tumbling, crying. Then Margot pinching her arms hard, creating bruises, showed Margot looking at the camera and smiling before she corrupted the primary feed. Nathaniel's blood went cold. Another call, his tech specialist. Sir, I traced the corruption code. It came from Silas Blackwood's laptop, offshore accounts, payments to Margot, emails between Silas and Sterling Hartley from before the fire. Silas paid him to humiliate Ms. Ashford, paid him to set the fire. The pieces fell into place, devastating, complete. Silas had orchestrated everything. The harassment, the fire, the false accusation. Why Nathaniel pulled up Silas's file, buried in old emails, resentment simmering. You have everything, your name, your power, your family. Silas had been in love with Elena, and when she'd died, he'd blamed Nathaniel. Nathaniel was already moving, called his lawyer. Get Brielle Ashford released, now. Sir, she escaped. There's a manhunt. What, when 40 minutes ago, she assaulted a guard and escaped custody. Nathaniel's heart stopped. Brielle was out there, alone, with Silas's people looking for her. He grabbed his coat, his gun. He had to find her before Silas did. Convergence. Brielle knew where Silas would be. Nathaniel's secondary office, financial district, less secure. She broke in through a service entrance, made her way to the top floor, found Silas at his desk looking at a map of Nathaniel's business holdings. Hello, Silas. He spun, saw her. His face went through surprise, then calculation, then cold satisfaction. Brielle Ashford, the escaped convict. He reached for his desk drawer. I should call the police. You should, but you won't. Brielle held up Margot's burner phone. Because I have everything, every message, every payment, every detail of how you orchestrated my destruction. Silas's hand froze. Why? Brielle asked. Why all of this? Because you don't belong. Simple. Final. Nathaniel is mine. This empire is mine. And then you walk in and take everything. I didn't take anything. You took his attention, his trust, his daughter's love. Silas stood. Elena was supposed to love me, but she chose him. Ivy was supposed to need me, but she needed you. So you tried to destroy me. I tried to remove you. He pulled his hand from the drawer. Gun. Now I'll finish the job. The door burst open. Nathaniel stood there, gun drawn, face carved from rage and fear. Silas, put it down! Nathaniel. Silas smiled. Perfect timing. I caught your escaped prisoner. I know everything. Margot's phone, the offshore accounts, the emails to Sterling. Nathaniel's gun didn't waver. It's over. Is it your word against mine? Silas shifted his aim. Not toward Nathaniel, toward Brielle. Who will people believe? Silas. I loved her. Silas's voice cracked. Elena. I loved her first, before you. Then you walked in and she looked at you like... He stopped. It doesn't matter. She chose you, had your child, and I stayed loyal. Waited. Thought maybe after she died you'd see... See what? That you were willing to destroy an innocent woman. To make you see that some people aren't worth protecting. Silas's finger moved toward the trigger. She's nothing. She'll ruin you. Brielle moved, grabbed a paperweight from Silas's desk, threw it, hit his gun hand. The weapon flew. Silas lunged for it. Brielle tackled him. They went down hard. She'd never fought like this, real combat, life or death. But Nathaniel had taught her basics. She drove her elbow into Silas's solar plexus. He gasped. She grabbed the gun, rolled away, came up with it, aimed at his chest. Don't move. Silas froze. Nathaniel crossed the room, took the gun from Brielle's trembling hands, pulled her against him. You're safe. I've got you. Police sirens outside. Nathaniel had called them. Officers flooded in, saw the scene. Silas Blackwood, the lead detective said. You're under arrest for conspiracy, assault, arson, attempted murder. They cuffed him, read his rights, led him away. Silas looked at Brielle as they passed. You won't last. Brielle met his eyes. I'm exactly what I appear to be. That's why I'm still here and you're not. They took him away. Aftermath. The next hour was a blur. Detectives took statements, examined evidence, the burner phone, the security footage, Margot's confession. All charges against Brielle dropped. Apologies from the DA. Brielle barely heard it. She sat in Nathaniel's car outside the precinct, adrenaline crash hitting hard. I need to see Celine and Ivy. They're safe. Thomas is with them, both at the penthouse. Nathaniel's hands gripped the steering wheel, white-knuckled. Brielle, I didn't believe you. After everything you'd done, I chose suspicion over faith. I failed you. You chose to protect your daughter. I understand. Understanding doesn't make it right. He turned to face her. I should have known, should have seen through Silas's manipulation. You found the truth. Too late. You were in jail, nearly killed. His voice cracked. What kind of father does that make me? The kind who's learning. Brielle put her hand over his. We're all learning. This whole situation, me, Ivy, we're figuring it out as we go. I don't deserve your forgiveness. Maybe not, but you have it anyway. He pulled her into his arms then, held her like she was something precious he'd almost lost. I'm sorry. God, Brielle, I'm so sorry. She let herself sink into his embrace, let the fear and adrenaline finally break through, cried against his shoulder while he held her and whispered apologies. When she finally pulled back, her eyes were red but clear. Take me home. I need to see Ivy. Brielle, about the job offer. After everything that's happened, if you want to leave, do you want me to leave? A no. God, no. Then let's go home. Home. The word felt right now. Earned. Reconciliation. Ivy was awake when they arrived. She'd refused to sleep until Brielle came back. The moment Brielle walked through the door, the little girl launched herself forward. Brielle, a whole word shouted with joy and relief. Brielle caught her, held her. I'm here, sweet girl, I'm here. They said you hurt me, but you didn't. I told Daddy you didn't. I know you did, you were so brave. I was scared you wouldn't come back. I promised I'd stay, remember I keep my promises. Ivy pulled back, looked at Brielle with those dark eyes. Forever you'll stay, forever. Brielle looked at Nathaniel, saw hope and fear in his expression. She looked at Celine sitting on the couch looking healthier than she had in months, surgery in 3 days. She looked at this penthouse that had become home, these people who'd become family. Yeah, Brielle said, forever. Ivy hugged her again. Nathaniel crossed the room, put his arms around both of them. A family, broken maybe, complicated definitely, but whole. The call came at 3 a.m. Brielle was asleep on the couch, Ivy curled against her. Nathaniel sat in his office making arrangements, Margot's arrest, Silas's termination security upgrades. His phone rang. Unknown number. Blackwood. Hello, Nathaniel? Silas's voice, calm, cold. I believe I have something that belongs to you. Nathaniel's blood went ice. What are you talking about? Check Ivy's room. Nathaniel ran, burst into the living room. Brielle was there asleep, but Ivy was gone. Ivy! Brielle jerked awake. What? Where's Ivy? Brielle looked at the empty space. Horror dawned. She was just... Nathaniel's phone buzzed. Image message, Ivy in a dark room crying, hands bound. Celine beside her, unconscious, blood on her temple. No, Brielle whispered. Silas's voice came through speaker. I have both of them. Your daughter and Brielle's sister. Silas, if you hurt them, here's what's going to happen. You're going to sign over controlling interest in every business we built, transfer $500 million to my offshore accounts, and disappear. You're insane. I'm what you made me. 15 years I gave you, and you threw it away for a waitress and a broken child. Elena never. Don't say her name. The composure cracked. She was mine. Should have been mine. Silence. Then quieter. Warehouse 47, Pier 84, 2 hours. Come alone. Any police and I start sending you pieces of your precious family. The line went dead. Brielle stood frozen. Celine. He has Celine. And Ivy. We have to go. We have to be smart. Silas wants me emotional. Nathaniel pulled out his phone, started making calls. Get me Thomas and Chen, everyone we have. Penthouse in 20 minutes. Brielle paced, hands shaking. 2 hours. 120 minutes. Every second Ivy was terrified. Every second Celine's fragile heart was under strain. We're getting them back, Nathaniel said. Voice hard. Absolute. Both of them. I promise. You can't promise that. Watch me. War room. 20 minutes later, 12 men filled Nathaniel's office. Thomas. Chen, the tech specialist. 6 security personnel, 3 ex-military contractors, blueprints of Warehouse 47 spread across the table. Satellite images, thermal scans showing heat signatures at least 8 hostiles plus Silas. He has the high ground, Chen said. Second floor office overlooks the main floor, sniper position. How many exits? Thomas asked. 3. Main entrance, loading dock, maintenance access. He'll have all of them covered. Nathaniel studied the layout. Then we don't use the doors. Everyone looked at him. The roof, Brielle said suddenly. She'd been quiet, studying blueprints with intensity. Skylight here, old glass. Old, thin. Chen pulled up roof schematics. She's right. Original 1960s installation. We could cut through. He'll hear us, one of the security guys said. Not if we're loud somewhere else. Brielle leaned over the table. Main entrance. You create a distraction. Big, loud. Make Silas think Nathaniel's coming in guns blazing. While we do what? Thomas asked. While a smaller team goes through the roof, 3 people max. Light, fast, quiet. Brielle looked at Nathaniel. You're too big for roof access. You'll be the distraction. Make demands. Keep Silas talking. And you're suggesting you go through the roof? Nathaniel's voice was dangerous. Absolutely not. I'm the smallest person here. I can move quietest. And I have the most reason to get Celine out alive. Which is exactly why you're compromised. Like you won't. Brielle met his eyes. Your daughter is in there. Silence. She's right, Chen said quietly. Tactically, she has a point. Smaller profile, less noise. And Silas won't expect her. No. Nathaniel's voice was final. I'm not sending you. You're not sending me anywhere. I'm going. Brielle's tone matched his. We agreed. Partners. Equals. That means I get a say in how we save our family. The word hung in the air. Our family. Nathaniel looked at her, saw the determination, the fear channeled into action, the same courage that had made her tackle a gunman with a bourbon bottle. Fine, he said, but you wear a vest, you take an earpiece, and if anything goes wrong, you abort. Agreed. And I'm going with you, Thomas said. Roof entry needs 2 minimum. 3, Chen added. I can hack their security from inside, kill cameras, comms. Nathaniel looked at his team, at the plan coming together. 1 hour 45 minutes, he said. Let's move. The roof access was worse than blueprints suggested. Rusted fire escape, crumbling concrete. One wrong step and the whole structure might collapse. Brielle climbed anyway. Thomas below her, Chen above, moving slow, testing each handhold. Below she heard Nathaniel's voice echo. Silas, I'm here. Let's talk. Right on time. Silas's voice through loudspeakers. Did you bring my $500 million? I brought a counteroffer. You release Ivy and Celine and I let you walk away. Silas laughed. That's not how this works. Keep him talking, Brielle thought. They reached the roof. The skylight was exactly where blueprints showed. Dirty glass, rusted frame. Chen pulled out a glass cutter. This'll take 3 minutes, he whispered. Stay quiet. Below the negotiation continued. Nathaniel's voice calm, professional. Brielle peered through dirty glass, saw the warehouse interior, saw Silas on a second-floor catwalk, rifle in hand, saw his men, 8 of them positioned at exits, and there in the corner Ivy and Celine tied to chairs, Ivy crying silently, Celine barely conscious. Rage flooded through Brielle, cold and sharp. She was going to end this. Chen finished cutting, lifted the glass panel, set it aside, revealed a 20-foot drop to a support beam. I'll belay you down, Thomas whispered, securing rope. You get to that beam. Chen will lower the rope further. Got it. Thomas tested the rope, handed the end to Brielle. Don't die. Wasn't planning on it. She clipped in, took a breath, and rappelled into the warehouse. The descent was silent, controlled. She reached the support beam, unclipped, signaled Chen. He lowered the rope further. She descended, hand over hand, muscles burning. She reached the floor behind shipping containers, unclipped, drew her weapon, Chen's voice in her earpiece. I'm in their system, cameras looping, but Brielle, you've got 1 guy circling toward your position. 20 seconds. Brielle pressed against the container, controlled her breathing, heard footsteps approaching. The guard rounded the corner. She didn't think, just moved, grabbed his gun hand, twisted, used his momentum. He was bigger, but she was faster. Had the element of surprise, had Nathaniel's training. She drove her knee into his solar plexus. He gasped. She grabbed his head, slammed it against the container. He dropped. "One down," she whispered. "Nice," Chen replied. "You've got a clear path, 40 feet, but Silas has eyes on them from the catwalk. Can you create a distraction? Give me 30 seconds. Brielle moved, low, fast. Using containers for cover, she could see Ivy and Celine clearly now, 20 feet, 15. Ivy saw her, eyes went wide. Brielle put a finger to her lips. Ivy nodded. Smart girl. Then the lights cut out. Chen's voice. "Go, now, 90 seconds before backup generators." Brielle ran, reached Ivy and Celine, started cutting zip ties. "Brielle," Ivy sobbed. "I was so scared. I know, baby, I've got you." Celine stirred. "Bri, what? Stay quiet. Can you walk?" "I think so." Above them, Silas shouted, "What the hell? Get those lights back on!" Brielle cut the last zip tie, pulled Ivy up, helped Celine stand. Lights flickered, generators kicking in. "Chen, we need an exit." Gunfire erupted. Nathaniel's team at the main entrance, creating chaos. Brielle pushed Ivy and Celine toward the loading dock. "Run!" They ran. A guard appeared. Brielle fired. Center mass. He went down. Another guard. She fired again. Missed. He returned fire. Bullets sparked off metal. Brielle pushed Ivy behind a container, fired back. This time she didn't miss. "Loading dock!" she shouted. "Go!" Celine was flagging. Brielle grabbed her, half-carried her, Ivy running beside them. The loading dock door was 50 feet away, 40, 30. Silas appeared on the catwalk above, rifle aimed at them. "Brielle!" She turned, saw the rifle, saw his finger on the trigger, saw Nathaniel burst through the main entrance, gun drawn. "Don't," Nathaniel said. Silas swung the rifle toward him. "You couldn't just let me have this. Let you have what my family, my life." "Yes." Silas's composure shattered. "Everything that should have been mine." He fired. Nathaniel dove. Bullets sparked where he'd been standing. Brielle didn't hesitate, raised her weapon, aimed at Silas. He saw her, swung the rifle back. "You destroyed everything." She fired. The bullet caught Silas in the shoulder. He stumbled. The rifle clattered. FBI burst through the loading dock, through the main entrance. Thomas rappelled down, tactical team swarming. "Silas Blackwood, FBI, hands up." Silas looked at Brielle, blood spreading across his shirt, face twisted with rage and pain and something that might have been grief. "You won," he said quietly. They cuffed him, read his rights, led him away. Brielle dropped her weapon, legs suddenly weak. Thomas caught her. "You did good," he said. Ivy crashed into her. Brielle went to her knees, held her daughter, felt Celine's arms around both of them, then Nathaniel's, all of them together. "Safe." "It's over," Nathaniel whispered. "It's really over." They kept Celine overnight for observation. Dr. Bennett arrived at dawn, ran every test twice. "She's perfect," the doctor finally said. "Heartbeat strong. No signs of rejection. She's a miracle." "She's a fighter," Brielle corrected. Celine slept, peaceful despite everything. Ivy curled in a chair beside her bed. Nathaniel and Brielle stood in the hallway, morning light streaming through windows. They were both still in tactical gear, still had dried blood and warehouse dust. "You shot him," Nathaniel said. "I did. You could have killed him. I thought about it." Brielle looked at her hands. "For half a second I thought about putting that bullet through his heart." "Why didn't you?" "Because Ivy doesn't need to grow up knowing I killed someone. Because Celine doesn't need that weight. Because—" She looked at him. "Because you taught me that some people deserve worse than death. They deserve to live with what they've done." Nathaniel pulled her into his arms, held her like she was the only solid thing in a shifting world. 25 years, he said. "That's what the DA is talking. Silas will spend the rest of his life in prison thinking about how he destroyed everything for nothing." Good. They stood there, two people who'd survived the impossible. "Brielle Ashford," Nathaniel said quietly, "will you marry me?" She pulled back, looked at him. You're proposing in a hospital hallway right now. Why not? We've done everything else backward. Fell in love in 2 weeks, moved in together after 3 days, built a family before we admitted we wanted one. He cupped her face. I don't want to wait anymore. We don't have a ring. We'll get one. Whatever you want. I don't need big, I just need you. Is that a yes? Brielle looked through the window at Ivy sleeping, at Celine recovering, at the family they'd built from broken pieces. Yeah, she said. It's a yes. He kissed her, long, deep, a promise and a beginning. When they pulled apart, Ivy was awake, watching through the window with a smile. I knew it, she shouted. I knew you were gonna get married. Celine laughed. Did you just propose in a hospital? Seemed appropriate, Nathaniel said. We do everything the hard way. The best way, Brielle corrected. She had a sister who was healthy, a daughter who was safe, a man who loved her enough to let her be dangerous, a life that had started on broken glass and ended in forever. The math finally worked. The garden wedding was everything Brielle never knew she wanted. Small, intimate, 50 guests in Nathaniel's private garden, white roses and afternoon sunlight and impossible happiness. Celine walked her down the aisle, healthy, radiant, starting her nursing program with a scholarship funded by the Ashford Blackwood Foundation for Foster Youth. Ivy was flower girl. She threw petals with serious concentration, wore a dress covered in stars and a smile that hadn't left her face in months. Declan O'Brien stood as Nathaniel's best man, the bartender who'd become a friend, who'd been promoted to general manager of the Sapphire and implemented policies ensuring what happened to Brielle never happened again. The ceremony was simple, vows they'd written themselves. Nathaniel spoke first. I was lost before you found me, bleeding on the floor of my own establishment, dead inside after losing the woman I loved, failing my daughter every day. Then you appeared, didn't ask for permission, just moved, and everything changed. His voice caught. You saved my life. You saved my daughter. You saved me from becoming someone I didn't recognize. I promise to honor that, to stand beside you, never above you, to be the partner you deserve, to love you with everything I am, for as long as I live. Brielle's turn. She looked at Nathaniel, this man who'd found her at her lowest and offered hope. I spent my whole life surviving. Foster homes, poverty, a countdown clock that said my sister was dying. Then one night, everything fell apart. I knelt on broken glass in front of 60 people who did nothing. And you walked in. Tears spilled over. You didn't save me. You gave me the tools to save myself. You didn't fix me. You just stood beside me while I put myself back together. You didn't demand I be anything other than exactly who I am. And that's the greatest gift I've ever received. I promise to be your equal, your partner, your home, to love Ivy like she's mine because she is, to build something beautiful with you out of all this broken glass, to choose you, every day, forever. The officiant smiled. I now pronounce you husband and wife. Nathaniel kissed her. Ivy cheered. Celine cried happy tears. 50 people applauded. And Brielle Ashford now. Brielle Blackwood felt the last piece of her fractured life click into place. Later, a breaking news alert flashed across someone's phone. Silas Blackwood sentenced to 25 years for conspiracy, attempted murder, and racketeering. No possibility of parole. Justice served. Complete. Final. Nathaniel saw the notification, pulled Brielle closer. It's over. I know. Are you okay? Yeah, better than okay. She looked around at their gathered family and friends. I'm home. Family dinner at the penthouse had become Sunday tradition. Brielle set the table while Nathaniel supervised Ivy's homework. Celine, now a registered nurse working in pediatric cardiology, helped with cooking. Thomas had been invited. Declan and his wife. Dr. Bennett, the family they'd built from broken pieces. Brielle was visibly pregnant, 7 months. A boy they'd already named Marcus. Ivy, now 6, was explaining her science project with enthusiasm. And then the volcano explodes and the lava goes everywhere and it's so cool. Very cool, Brielle agreed, one hand on her swollen belly. The baby kicked. Strong, insistent. Nathaniel appeared beside her, put his hand over hers, felt his son moving. He's active tonight. Takes after his father. God help us. Brielle laughed. Leaned into Nathaniel's embrace, looked around at the people filling their home with warmth and noise and love. 2 years ago, she'd been kneeling on broken glass with 60 witnesses who did nothing. 60 days away from losing her sister, drowning in debt and despair. Now she had a sister who was healthy and thriving, a daughter who called her mommy without hesitation, a husband who looked at her like she was his whole world, a baby on the way, a foundation helping foster kids, a life she'd never dared imagine. Regrets? Nathaniel asked quietly. Brielle looked at him, this man who'd walked into her worst moment and refused to let it define her. Not one. That night on broken glass, best worst night of my life, led me here, led me to you, led me to all of this. I love you. I love you too. Ivy appeared beside them, tugged on Brielle's dress. Mommy, is the baby gonna come soon? 2 more months, sweetheart. I'm gonna teach him everything, how to draw, how to be brave, how to... She paused, looked up with those dark eyes. How to know that family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up. Brielle's throat tightened. Where did you learn that? From you. Ivy smiled. You showed up. Even when everything was scary. You stayed. Brielle knelt down carefully, awkward with the pregnancy, pulled Ivy into a hug. I'll always show up. That's what family does. Nathaniel joined them, arms around both, and then Celine. And Thomas. One by one, their chosen family gathering close. Later, after everyone had gone home and Ivy was asleep and the city lights glittered outside their windows. Brielle stood in Ivy's doorway watching her daughter sleep. Nathaniel appeared beside her. What are you thinking? That I was forced to kneel on broken glass and I chose to rise, that I saved your life and you gave me mine, that together... She looked at him. Together we built forever. He kissed her temple. Best forever I could imagine. They stood there in the quiet dark, a family built from broken pieces, from 60 seconds of violence and 2 weeks of falling, from glass and fire and trials that should have destroyed them. But they'd survived, more than survived. They'd thrived, and in the morning there would be breakfast and homework and the beautiful chaos of their lives. There would be Celine's hospital rounds and Nathaniel's business meetings and Ivy's soccer practice and foundation work and baby preparations. There would be ordinary moments stacked into extraordinary days. There would be forever. But tonight, right now, there was just this. Peace. Love. Home. Everything Brielle Ashford had ever wanted and never dared hope for. She was forced to kneel. She chose to rise, and she built something beautiful from all that broken glass.